The Bug Bucks Podcast!
We're going to be talking about how you start a pest control company and grow it when you start with $5,000.
Go after the unique license that nobody else has, because scarcity drives price. We just did a recent $150,000 aerial application. How did we get it? Because we're one of the only people that have the right licensing in the entire state.
Get your vision on where you want that company to be. Even with $5,000, you want to do everything at a minimum to start with. Get your customer base starting so you can get some cash flow.
Anyone who is trying to charge me money for a service, I would want to know it better than them so I can hold them accountable, or I can do it myself.
What are some of the early mistakes starting a pest control company, and what are some things we can do to avoid those?
One of our franchises decided to buy all the chemical that the salesman decided to forecast that he was going to need for the year.
Oh. I have 3 different guests on today. All 3 of them own pest control company, and they know a lot about pest control. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bug Bucks Podcast. I'm so glad that you are with us. I know you're busy. I know you've got a million things going on. I'm just glad that you could spend some time with us. We have a really cool episode today, something we've never done before. So make sure you listen to the entire thing. You don't know what's going to happen, but this episode actually came from a suggestion from a group member. So we're really excited to dig into it. But here's the thing, is that I have 3 different guests on today. All 3 of them own pest control company, and they know a lot about pest control and the different facets of growing a pest control company. So we're going to get into that. Before we do, make sure to subscribe or follow to this podcast on whatever platform you listen to it on, and leave us a review. Let us know the good, the bad, the ugly. What can we do better to improve the show so that you can improve your pest control company? And if you're not a Bug Bucks Plus member yet, make sure to join. Go to bugbucksplus.com, BUGBUX plus.com, and check us out there. All right, I'm going to do a quick intro of our 3 guests today in no particular order. I'm starting with Bill Kellough. After retiring from AT&T, Bill Kellough unexpectedly found his next chapter in the pest control industry by launching a bed bug heater rental company, of all things. As demand grew and customers asked for broader pest control services, Bill partnered with a local company to earn his pest and termite license. Today, he operates Bed Bug Texas Termite and Pest Control, proudly serving clients for the past 1.5 years with practical, customer-driven solutions. We're going to get into that. That's awesome. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Thank you.
All right, next, Kyle Weaver. Kyle is a pest control professional and entrepreneur who built his San Antonio-based company from a $10,000 start into a nearly $2 million a year business. It's incredible. With 16 years of ownership and 5 years of door-to-door sales before that, Kyle knows what it takes to start small and grow big. Welcome to the show, Kyle.
Thanks, man.
And last but not least, Paul Alley is the owner of Pestmaster Services of the Hudson Valley, a family-run pest control and wildlife management company known for its personal service and community-first approach. Alongside his wife, Amy, Paul has built a business rooted in integrity, professionalism, and care, serving customers like neighbors, not numbers. Love it, Paul. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
The topic of this episode was suggested in our Bug Bucks group on Facebook, which, by the way, if you're not a member, make sure to go join it. It's also BUGBUX. Just Google it. You'll find our group on Facebook. Make sure to join it. Tons of valuable information in there. But we had a really good suggestion, and the theme for today, our topic is, with the diverse backgrounds of this group that's in here, we're going to be talking about how you start a pest control company and grow it when you start with $5,000. So, hey, let's start here, guys. And I'm not going to ask specific people questions. We're just going to kind of do like this roundtable type strategy. What are the things, before you start spending any money, what are the things are you doing for your pest control company to get it off the ground?
Licensing, insurance, equipment. So the question I have is that $5,000, does that include equipment, or we got to buy equipment and everything?
I think we're starting with $5,000 and that's it.
That's it. Okay. Well, then obviously I think the top of my list is obviously going to be licensing.
Okay. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I have licensing, insurance, product, which that can be kind of flexible. You got to pay for your vehicle, you got to pay for gas, and then like some type of software to manage stuff, because you can do it on Google or you can do it with just a spreadsheet, but that becomes tedious pretty quick. Um, so I think with the insurance, general liability tends to be flexible as far as it's per the amount that your company's worth. And so I think when we started out, it was like $100 a month. And so I think starting off, it was about $1,000 right out of the gate that you'd have to pay because of regulation stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say about $1,000 is a good starting point for estimating cost of insurance for the first year is about $1,000.
And are we talking about like all insurance? Like, is that going to cover a truck?
Probably not. Probably liability insurance, and then if you're covering your truck, you're running under your personal insurance more than likely, because you're not gonna be buying a brand new truck just starting out. At least I don't think anybody would. I think you're going to use what you have, whether it's a station wagon, SUV, whatever, with some cheap magnets on the side versus a full vehicle wrap and all that stuff.
I was doing services out of the back of my 2010 Mazda 6 for the first couple of years. Like, whatever it takes, you just do it.
Yeah.
Ride around on a Segway.
You know, when you're first starting out, I'm thinking too, guys, take a little bit of time before you even jump into this and try to understand social media, the platform itself. You know, Facebook, all the local companies and everything, all the local community pages. And going back to, instead of a CRM, I think it's great. I now started with the CRM myself, but understand Google, do a good Excel sheet, and put together like a calendar so that you know what to post every week. You have to learn to become your own social media company, or right up front. Set a calendar, set reminders, take a little time before you get started, before you start digging into that 5,000, because that's going to go fast. Take a little time to start understanding, like today we have AI. Understand your AI videos, understand how to utilize them, put some together, and you want to just constantly be throwing them into Facebook, social media pages.
Because it's free.
Because it's free, yeah.
I like this idea of, I know there's people that are really good at working community Facebook groups. And if you have $5,000, first off, that's not a lot of money. I think everybody knows that. I started Proof with very little money, and that was $100,000. And that was 10 plus years ago. So, man, if there's not something you have to spend money on, then don't spend, right? You don't have to spend money on marketing in the beginning. It's kind of a scary thought, but you do have to spend money registering your business. You do have to spend money making sure that you have the licenses. You do have to spend money on product, things like that. Let me ask you guys this. I'm going to throw this out to the group. I need the specific name of a pest control company pest control software that you would start with if you were in this scenario. And I need you to tell me who you're currently using. I'll go first. I use Field Routes. I think it has plenty of flaws. It's not who we started with, but if I were this person, I would bite the bullet, and I don't even know what it costs. I don't know if they have a free version. I know it's cheaper if you're smaller, but it is a huge pain to switch software companies. And so I would start with something that you grow into. What do you guys think?
I would say that the first question is the person who's starting the pest control, I got to ask myself, what are my long-term goals? Do I want to have one truck? Do I want to have 5 trucks? Do I want to have 30 trucks? Because being part of a franchise group, and we are a Pestmaster franchise, okay, I see brands I see some of our branches have 2 trucks, and they've had 2 trucks for 20 plus years. That's not the same software that I need in my business, having 35 trucks on the road.
Yep.
And I've switched software twice. I'm on Field Routes now. I think if for the first, I'll say 10 years, if you're going to grow, but you're going to grow organically, which is kind of what we're looking at here with a budget, then RDF software. is a decent free. It's not free. I think you pay a one-time fee. They're advertised in the back of PCT magazine, and it's also called SPS software. But structural pest control software is the name. And back when I was on it, it came on a CD-ROM, and you flop it in, you load it up, and you just go to town, right? You just load everything in. And if you needed an update, you'd call him and say, you got to buy the update for like $99.
Dang, okay.
But there was no barcodes, there's no GPS, there's no mapping, there's no intelligent routing. If you can imagine, right? So I've been in this game for 37 years. And we've been on Field Routes since Field Routes came out. Like, I'm friends with the old owner and everything like that. So we've been on Field Routes for quite a while. I can't even imagine switching software at this point. As bad as it could be, we haven't had any. I like Field Routes, and I sing their praises.
But you're saying, Paul, like, hey, if it's a company and these guys are going to have 2 trucks for 10 years, I'm not paying for field routes.
Correct.
I'm doing something
no
less
reason.
expensive.
If you're in a small area, and you know the area, you know your neighborhood, you know the roads, and you know your customers, you don't need to be on some big CRM that's going to have bells and whistles and interlink with Podium and interlink with Applause and all these other softwares. You need the bare bones basic to get the GARP done. Otherwise, pull out the handy dandy 3x5 note cards and make a 1-31 index file like we used to do back in the 80s. And that's how you do it.
I like where Paul's head is on this. And that is, we have this theme that was thrown out to us, and we don't have a lot of the specifics. We don't know. We don't know if this person a year into business is going to have a family member invest $500,000, right? We're out here making assumptions. So for the listener, you need to make sure that you're like taking what we're saying and applying your specific scenario, right? It's like, hey, I'm starting with $5,000, but what I didn't tell you is, I'm working actively to find a silent partner or whatever. Because here's the thing is that there's a couple of questions here, and then I'm going to pass this question to Kyle and Bill, but you also have to think about what's the end game of my business. Even if I don't get beyond 2 routes, you use a software, if it's free, whatever, if it's cheap, whatever, because you're going to probably want to sell those routes. Those routes should be worth something. And I purchased a company that was just paper-based, and they got a very minimal valuation. So, all right, Kyle, what are your thoughts? Software, if you're starting, and software you guys are using now.
Man, so we started with that software, with RDF software, and it was copy and paste into Google Calendar. And then I found a site that you could go plug in addresses, and it would optimize the route for you, and it was free. And so I did that every single day, and I would copy and paste it over to Google Calendar because you didn't have access virtually to the desktop to be able to see your routes. And I didn't want to be printing those jobs every single day. So I just put it on Google Calendar, and then I would make my notes in Google Calendar. I would manually fill out the invoices at the end of the day. Like, it was so arduous. So about I think it was year 3, I really started digging in and was like, I got to get rid of this because this is ridiculous. And I found a product called Pokemos. And Pokemos is, in my opinion, they're phenomenal. Their customer service is incredible. Their handholding is really good. I feel like their pricing is extremely aggressive. So I've been able to build some really good relationships with those guys over the last, 13 years. And anytime I have a concern or I say, hey, if you did this, I think it would make the software better. Generally within the next month, there's an update that's pushed, or they explain to me why that might not make sense with the code. And so I feel like that's been super, super valuable for me. But just like Paul had said, the route optimization, like I think that's absolutely key to running efficient routes, because if you're getting above 2 or 3, it becomes, I mean, it's an entire job just to route your, to process all of your routes if you're doing it manually. And then if something falls through or you got to reschedule, like there's a lot of manual effort that goes into that and a lot of human error that happens. And you have to avoid that at all costs. So that's who we use. I love them. I don't think I would ever leave them, just a lot because the customer service has just been phenomenal. So that's where we're at with our softwares.
Gotcha. Bill, what are your thoughts, my man?
Well, and then I'll tell you, when I first started, I started off with field routes and still there. But I mean, I kind of had a vision of where I wanted the company to go. And, coming from corporate America, I already had an idea. I used to pretty well handle most of AT&T's technicians out in the field. So when it come to, dispatching and everything, I already knew what that was going to look like. So I wanted to make sure I was, setting the company up for success in the beginning. So we looked at several platforms, and just begin, it was cost because, it's more based upon how many routes you're running or customer base, right? And I just decided to go with that one. So, but again, even if you're going to start off a new company and you only got $5,000 to do that, get your vision on where you want that company to be in 1 year and in 3 years and in 5 years, and understand that even with 5,000, you want to do everything at a minimum to start with. You just get the minimum to get you in, get your customer base starting so you can get some cash flow.
Hey, Allan here. Quick question for you. Are you actually doing anything with all that customer feedback you've been collecting? Or is it just sitting there? That's where our friends at Ask Nicely come in. They help people-powered pest businesses, just like yours, turn feedback into action and real results. We're talking about smarter, AI-powered surveys that know what to ask and when. Your team gets clear, personalized priorities that help boost retention, drive referrals, and grow revenue, all without another clunky platform to manage. They work with big names like Aptiv, Moxie, and Cooks, so they get pest control. Head to asknicely.com/bugbucks and book a personalized consultation or DM Ask Nicely to the Bug Bucks Facebook page and we'll get you connected. Don't forget to ask special discounts for Bug Bucks Facebook members and Bug Bucks Plus subscribers. Love it. One thing that Bug Bucks Group is really good at is we have a really good mix of different size companies in there. We have companies that are just getting started, like the folks that asked this question. We have people that have been in business for over a decade that do hundreds of millions in revenue annually. And honestly, for me, as I've grown a pest control company, it's like I used to think, if your company's not huge, it's, there's something wrong with it or you're not a good leader or owner. There's so much personal preference that goes into it because the larger you get, the more headaches you get too. I get sued for stuff now that I couldn't have imagined before. And it really comes down just to the size of the team. And we're going to switch gears a little bit here. And let's start with Paul again. What are some of the early mistakes that you've seen you made or you've seen other people make starting a pest control company? And what are some things we can do to avoid those?
I have one incident where I saw one of our franchises decided to buy all the chemical that the salesman decided to forecast that he was going to need for the year.
Oh.
Or here's the brand new shiny thing. You need to try this, and whether it's a Burrow RX, one of the Burrow, the gas machines, or, you should buy the battery operated B&G to save so you don't have to pump it up as often. Well, it's another $100 that you're spending out of a $5,000 budget. Think about what you can get away with without buying, Negotiate your prices. Even if you're and I call them counter guys, the guys who walk up to the counter and buy 1 can or 2 cans, you're trying to develop that relationship with wherever you're buying it from. Negotiate. And, you want my business now, but what about me in 10 years? I'm going to remember how you treated me now, with whether it's Univar or Target or whoever you do business with. So you want to, just don't spend money foolishly because You're an entrepreneur, so you think you need to have the brand new shiny stuff when you don't. That's the best thing I can say. Just, every dime counts. I see franchises stepping over dimes to save pennies.
I think it's such a good point, and I one time had this guy call me, and he's like, "Hey, I'm starting my business. Have some questions for you," and I just spent 50 grand on a brand guidelines and design this whole thing, and I'm like, "Why did you do that? You need customers, right?" And so when we're starting companies, a lot of times, I mean, the biggest mistake that I see is people make mistakes with how they spend money, right? They think that, oh, since you started your business, people are just going to be knocking your door, banging your door down, like. And so I think that's a great point, Paul. Be really careful, but there's some middle ground, right? You want to spend money if it's good for your company, will help you grow your company, help your company be more efficient. But in the beginning, it's so tough to know. So, all right, Kyle, what are your thoughts? What are some of those early mistakes you think pest control company owners make, or you have made, and how do we get around some of those?
For me, a big one. So the theme of my first year was just no excuses. Like I would find a reason to not go. So I was knocking doors, and you'd always find a reason not to knock doors. I remember the Spurs were in the finals that year. I was like, I just want to watch the finals game. And so I'm just going to do that. Or San Antonio, no one wants to have somebody knock on the door because the Spurs are playing. And it's just silly, stupid excuses. Or like it's drizzling rain. I mean, that's going to stop in 30 minutes. Get your butt out there and get going. Like if this is your dream, then you need to fulfill your dream. Because just like you said, no one's there for you. Like no one's there to hold your hand. No one's there to pat you on the butt. It is all you. And if you think that you are like you're going to have people flocking to your door, which I was of the same mindset. Like we have a website, phone's going to ring off the hook, and it's not going to happen. No one cares. And you've got to realize that. And so you've really got to humble yourself and recognize that you don't know everything, and you have to be willing to put in all of the work. And some of that work is a willingness to just check your ego at the door. And for some people, that's a lot of work. And I know for me, those first couple of years, it was a lot of work. Paul brought up a great, like with working with like Univar or BWI or Target, like they have great people who are wonderful resources. Those salesmen know their stuff. They are not just there to sell you. They want to see you succeed as well. And if you can find one who really wants you to succeed, you can ask them questions. We've had the same guy for 16 years. And we walked into that office and said, we're going to do, $1 million the first year. And he just kind of chuckled, and he's been able to watch us do really stupid things. And I've been able to call him with really stupid questions. But I think finding those resources, there's, local chapters of your state pest control society. And then there's the national stuff, joining Facebook groups. Like I think Bug Bucks is phenomenal. I think you guys are doing a great job. I hadn't joined any pest control Facebook groups until maybe 2 years ago. And I was missing out big time. Like there's so many resources. And I think it just comes down to arrogance and being willing to just ask lots of questions and get lots of good feedback. Because even with somebody asking, how do you start a company with $5,000? There was some really good feedback just in the posts, like not even just this, but I just think looking for those resources. And then I didn't understand SEO. I didn't understand website development. But I would stop watching Netflix. I would stop watching Amazon Prime. I would watch the crap out of YouTube, and I would learn every key aspect of anyone who is trying to charge me money for a service. I would want to know it better than them so I can hold them accountable, or I can do it myself. And I think SEO, and especially with some of the shifts, and I can go on about this for days, but like if you don't understand how to rank your Google business profile, Google is making that more important than your own website. And if you don't know how to do that, like things are going to get hard. And so understanding how to do that, and YouTube is a phenomenal university. Like you don't have to pay thousands of dollars to have somebody come like teach you how to do stuff. You can find answers to your questions. And then at least you have a groundwork for like the things you don't know that you don't know, so that you can ask good questions when you do have someone who you're going to use as a resource. So
Love it.
I think a lot of it for me comes down to just education, knowledge, and arrogance.
Love it. Bill.
Kyle, I love it. I love everything you're going there with that. You can tell he's got 16 years experience. So, just going off of everything I'm hearing, I mean, one, 5,000, that's not a lot of money in this industry, and it goes fast. So don't overestimate growth. More importantly, how are you going to get your growth? Now, going back to Kyle, just because you have a website, everybody has a website, and you're going to have 2,000 visitors hit that website before you get one call. And if it's set up right, all right? You got to get sales minded. I always said, I'm not a salesman. I used to tell people, I can't sell a blind man a cane, right? Well, I've had to change my opinion on that. I've had to learn to talk to people, get out there, smile a little bit, change who you are as a person, get rid of some of the arrogance, all right? Humble yourself, as Kyle said. Learn who your market is before you're even going in. Are you going for residential? Are you going for these quarterly, bi-monthly services? Or are you going to go straight commercial? Know what you're walking into before you get there. Podcast, bug bucks. Listen to it as often as possible. Learn from others. Because as Kyle said, we don't know what you don't know. I mean, I've walked into this industry kind of blind, and like him, I'm on YouTube. I'm always talking to my techs. If you got a minute of free time, just look up something. We all think we're bug guys. Well, technology changes fast, and I'm always trying to keep up with technology and even how to kill German roaches. I mean, I think, yeah, we got a pretty good system, but it changes, right? And last, I think it's important when you're first starting your company, you can't look at yourself as the coach because you're the whole team. You don't have someone to delegate to. You got to do it all.
One of the biggest things that sets, you want to figure out what sets you apart from every other pest control company in your market, right? So I call those differentiators. So you're talking about, well, you open the doors and everybody's going to come. I say, and I tell these new startups all the time, you are not opening a Chick-fil-A. They are not going to line up to come to you because your sign is out. It's just not going to happen. We just did a recent treatment that was like a $150,000 aerial application. How did we get it? Because we're one of the only people that have the right licensing in the entire state to do it, and the connections. So to do that application, it's a differentiator. I have right of way. I have, we do sports fields. We do golf course applications. We do aquatic vegetations. There's seven certified applicators in New York State that do aquatics. I have 3 of them work for me.
Huh.
So when everybody can go do the pizzeria or the McDonald's or the residential house and everybody's fighting for the same slice of pie, I'm going to be in my own little sandbox playing with my toys and having the different license. Go after the unique licenses that nobody else has because scarcity drives price.
Are you looking for a powerful, natural way to control mosquitoes and ticks? Archeon Life Sciences has 2 FIFRA 25B exempt products to solve those problems. Stop the Bites is a proven product for killing mosquitoes and ticks, and their brand new product, Eraditic, is extremely powerful against ticks. Both products have a 21-day recommended retreatment rate, seamlessly fitting into your service routes. Proven effective and trusted in the industry, Archeon Life Sciences is your go-to manufacturer for natural pesticides. Ask your local distributor about Stop the Bites and Eraditic from Archeon, and follow Archeon Life Sciences on LinkedIn. Oh, and keep an eye on Archeon as they continue to develop more eco-friendly products. I really like this idea, and we dropped a podcast episode, I think it was just last week. It was with Andrew from Pest, but he talked about this concept of finding out what you do differently and hammering that over and over and over. And the cool thing about it is somebody that's asking this question like, hey, how do I start a pest control company with $5,000? You can do anything, right? I'm not competing with Paul in New York, even though I have a branch there, because I don't do commercial work there. I focus solely on high-end residential. And so it's like, find out what it is that sets you apart, what you're really good at. I always talk about Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. He said your hedgehog concept. What's the thing that you are going to pound over and over and over and over? It's the intersection of three things. What are the three things? The three things are, number one, what drives your economic engine? Number two, what are you wildly passionate about? And number three, what is something that you can be the best in the world at? So find out what that is and hit it over and over and over. Don't try to be everything to everybody. All right, we're going to do this kind of quick fire round session that I just thought of. I just need, I'm asking 2 questions and I need a yes or no. That's it. Yes or no, no explanation. Question number 1 is, with this question in mind regarding starting a pest control company with $5,000, question number 1 is, do you build a website? Question number 2 is, do you use any of the $5,000 for marketing? After everybody else goes, I'll go. Paul, website, yes or no?
No.
Marketing, yes or no?
Yes.
Kyle, website, yes or no?
Yes.
Marketing, yes or no?
No.
And to clarify, I mean paying for marketing. Obviously, you need to be doing marketing, but you say yes to website, no to paying for marketing.
It's a painful no, but yeah, I would say no.
Bill.
Okay, so I'll say yes on the website with the caveat you have to get your GMB. You have to have a driver to get something there. And if I'm going to do marketing, I'm going to say no money out. You're going to have to find all the free marketing you can get your hands on.
Gotcha. My answers are going to be no and no. And I own a digital marketing agency, for the record. All right, here we go. Let's talk about, with that $5,000, we've talked a little bit about the things we have to prioritize, the licensing, getting registered. What are some of your other priorities? And we're just going to be spitballing here. What else are we using some of that early? And it's going to be tough for some of us to kind of dial back the time, to those early days. What is that $5,000 going to? Some of us said yes to website, so some of it would be going to that. What else is, and if you have a ballpark estimate of how much you would spend, let's do the questioner a favor. Let's not include like products and the cost to like actually like variable costs. So the cost to actually do the service, products, equipment. What are some other things just off the top of your head? Where's some of that $5,000 going?
Well, you got to consider your fuel budget.
Okay.
So you got fuel cost. If you're going to be doing everything yourself, I mean, that's going to help out a lot. So
another huge question here is, are you paying yourself anything?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're paying yourself something and $5,000 is a budget, we're running into a pretty tight situation here. For $5,000, I said no to the website. I said no to spending on marketing. We've got to get set up. We've got to get insurance. We've got to get. I'm saying no to any type of help right now. So no, you're not hiring anybody. And I'm gonna try as hard as possible to get my doors open. I'm probably not leasing an office. I'm going to try to figure out with my state regulations, like how can I store products without having an office? I'm going to try to put $2,500 in my bank account of that $5,000. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to try to get away with opening my doors somehow and getting some sort of revenue and still having $2,500 to spare.
Allan, one of the things they need to consider too is I know everyone wants to go out and buy the latest and greatest on all the, like Paul was saying earlier, they're going to try to sell you on every piece of equipment out there.
Yep.
Honestly, check your sales ads before you get in. Buy used equipment. There's plenty of it out there it's great equipment. It still works. Buy that. You don't need all the latest to start with. You're not going to have a customer base to be spending all that money.
I agree. Yeah. Absolutely.
What are some expenditures in that first $5,000 that we've missed? We've talked about fuel, we've talked about insurance, getting licensed.
When you had said, no marketing, one of the first things we did for our very first opening weekend, we just coordinated with a home show. So that was like $500 at the time for a home show. And we were out there in front of the public in the mall here's our business cards. Here's our business card. Just constantly doing that, clover leafing and things like that. So that's like old school thinking that, you're get in front of customers one way or the other, When you put a sandwich board on that's shaped like a cockroach and walk down the street, between stops.
Seriously.
I don't know, but, it's guerrilla marketing, and, you're thinking guerrilla warfare for, you're trying to put food on the table for the family.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to do whatever it takes. One thing I would strongly suggest to anybody who's starting out, and I see it time and time again, I call people up that I know are small operators, and it goes to voicemail. Goes to voicemail. Goes to voicemail. One thing I would absolutely encourage anybody to do is either you answer your cell phone 24 hours a day, or you hire, or you do spend the money, maybe possibly we have VAs, so have your phones answered by a virtual assistant out of the Philippines, or answer your cell phone yourself and make sure your messages are current and not full and stuff like that. Because you'd be surprised how many people don't prioritize the voicemail on their phone anymore, because it's such a texting generation now.
Mm-hmm.
And, if I know personally, if my refrigerator goes out or my hot water heater goes out, I pick up the phone and call, and I keep calling down the list until somebody answers the phone.
Absolutely.
We were the only company in our market that answered our phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I cannot tell you how many thousands of dollars that I made in my first 2 or 3 years in business by going on after hours emergency calls. Yeah. And yes, pest control, we do have emergency after hour calls.
Oh, absolutely. We're in an industry where, this isn't in a lot of cases like a luxury or something that people wait for, right? There's wasps, or there's termites, or there's some type of pest. It's not like they're just going to wait. They're going to just call the next person, and then the next person, and the next person. They're going to get the problem solved.
Bats in somebody's bedroom at 2:00 in the morning. You can pretty much, if you answer your phone, they're going to pay. It doesn't matter how much it costs. I'm sleepy. How much is it? Where do you live? Oh, you're 3 blocks away. All right. I'm going to give you a discount tonight. It's $500.
Yeah.
Where's it at? It's on the wall. Walk up, grab it, and you're out the door before you're done capturing the bat before they can finish writing the check.
Yep.
And you're back on head in 30 minutes for $500.
Yeah, I love this idea, especially for early companies where it's like, hey, beggars can't be choosers. You need to be available, and it's honestly something that a lot of our sales reps will talk about. How we're kind of a local company, we like to say, but we have resources to get people out there same or next day. And we'll say, hey, we're not the owner operator driving around in a truck. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We'll answer the phone, we'll get people out there. And so if you are the owner operator driving around in a truck, make sure that you put systems in place where you're not losing calls. I mean, right before we hit record, Bill's a perfect example of this. This guy was closing an account. And so this is, when you're getting started, you don't have that luxury. So let's talk about some things that, and we've kind of hit on them, not specifically, but in passing. What are some things, starting with you, Kyle, that people can do, you can pay somebody for, but you can also kind of hack the system a little bit, and you can, put in some time and hustle and do it on your own? What are some of those things that this individual that's starting with $5,000 that they should be doing on their own versus where a larger company would be paying somebody to do it?
Social media would be one.
Love it.
I mean, social media for us right now, I don't understand. I'm old. I'm 58. But I don't understand like the SEO and all that stuff, or even I don't have the time to sit there and create the content. I hired a VA out of the Philippines. He charged me $5 an hour, and I let him create all my social media content.
I think content creation is super important, not just to your socials, your Instagram, your Facebook, but then also like your Google business profile. Like I can't harp on that enough, how important it is. And there's multiple avenues there. There's images, videos are becoming super important. there's updates, and then there's like promos that you can run. And if you're not doing all of those, you're missing out. And so starting out, you want to get that set up as quickly as possible and then really start working on those. And I mean, just going and knocking on doors, social media, Bill brought up earlier, joining local groups. I mean, there's a mom's Facebook group, a garage door selling Facebook group for every freaking neighborhood. And if you're not in there, they will have rules that will be commercial companies can post every Monday, every Wednesday, and just abide those rules. Go to your Google Calendar, make an alert for yourself, and religiously create that content. And it doesn't have to be pretty. Like, people think it needs to be just super polished before they post it. Some of the best content out there is just a dude with a cell phone videoing himself or showing like why someone has mosquitoes really bad at their house and what you can do to prevent mosquitoes at your house. Like, really simple stuff that we could probably just spew out without even having to be prompted. I think that type of stuff is super, super important. But on top of that, I would say learning, like, door to door is an intimidating phrase. But I think the genuineness that a owner operator can bring to the table is very unique in that world, because you can go, you are a member of their neighborhood, you're a member of their city, you are someone who, if you can express, and my personal feelings on sales is, if you can provide peace of mind, that's the majority of your job. And if you can help them recognize that you care about them, their family, their community, I think your sales ability skyrocket. And so even just going through the neighborhoods around your Google business profile, introducing yourself, asking, if they have a pest control company, what do they like about their company? How long have they had them? What are things that they've hated about their company? Because everyone's got something. And reasons that they may think about switching, or if they've ever thought about switching, and then what you could do to maybe upgrade their service for them, or value that you could bring to the table. And I think that approach is extremely unique. And we're looking at it as $5,000 in the bank. We're not really looking at it as how are we refunding that $5,000. And if you do the math, that's not super hard in our industry. I mean, if you do 10 sales at $150, you're at $1,500. You're able to replace that pretty quickly. And getting 10 sales going and knocking and talking to people isn't that difficult. But it doesn't have to be high pressure stuff. It can be stuff that you're just providing value. I do want to hear Bill's story, because when you were kind of introducing him, he kind of had a unique in on how he grew his company. And I think him providing value that wasn't available and being able to just kind of organically start from there, I think is a really unique thing that I would have never done. So I don't want to take over the host.
Do it. Let's hear it, Bill.
So let me touch on what everyone else is talking about quickly. I guys, from my experience, there's a few things you never stop doing. One, learning. You utilize your friends, utilize your neighbors, your techs. If you're just starting out, YouTube, going back to what Kyle mentioned earlier, it's immense. I mean, the knowledge you can get there, it never ends. Learn to sell yourself. If you want to grow a company, people love knowing the owner. And I know as you get larger, they're not going to know the owner face to face, but there's ways to keep it going, right? So, but at first, let them know you. People will pick that phone up and call me in a heartbeat. I'll be on vacation and God knows where, and this phone is always with me, right? Because there are certain customers, they have my number. It's just that simple. And if you're going to grow, you're going to have to be that way. And last, going back to what we talked about earlier, there's nothing better than answering the phone. I pick up more customers on weekends than probably 90% of my local market, because most of them's been in the industry a ton of years. They have tons of customers, and they let everything go to voicemail. And we'll call them Monday. And, as Paul said earlier, they're going to call the first one, and they want somebody today. And they're going to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Be the guy that answers that phone. So how I ended up getting into this after my life in AT&T, I bought a carpet cleaning company, and everyone has bed bugs. And everyone kept wanting to know, will this kill bed bugs? And I'm like, no, I don't know anything about bed bugs. So luckily I was able to get the carpet cleaning up and going at a rate where I had techs doing everything. So I was becoming bored again. And what's next? And just on a whim, I'm thinking I'm going to start a bed bug company. Obviously there's a need. So we did all the research, figure out how you get it started. A few months later, we started a bed bug company. That went off pretty well in this market. There's just, Kyle, you probably have the same thing over in Austin, San Antonio area, tons of bed bugs. So that kind of gave me a foothold into it. So with us, again, I'm looking for every means that I can to advertise. So every customer that we touch on carpet cleaning also gets a card for the pest control company, right? And vice versa. We make sure all of our pest control companies or customers know that we do carpet cleaning, hardwood floors. We're always cross-selling everything.
You're cross-pollinating.
And everything. And that as you get larger, then you want to, compensate your techs for the growth. Provide incentives.
Like that.
We're going to take a moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the BugBucks Plus platform. You guys have heard me share all kinds of pro tips for building and scaling your companies with an inside sales team. I've got news that blows it all out of the water. BugBucks has partnered with Volt Inside Sales, which provides you with a third-party, on-demand, commission-only, high-performing inside sales team. You don't have to build, manage, or worry about staffing. Volt does it all. No more missed calls, reluctant lead follow-up, and no more poor performance. Volt sales reps are retired door-to-door veterans hungry for leads and ready to close more deals for you. Build, scale, and grow with BugBucks and Volt. To learn more about how Volt can take your company to the next level, DM Inside Sales to the BugBucks Facebook page. And remember to ask about special discounts for BugBucks Facebook members and BugBucks Plus subscribers. Now back to the BugBucks podcast.
Kyle mentioned that, you join these groups, follow their rules with promoting your business. But one of the best promotions of a business is just providing information. So, one of the marketing strategies that I would use, I wouldn't be paying for ads. I wouldn't have built a website if I had less than $5,000. One of the things I would do is, if I got a customer that called in for ants in a particular neighborhood, I would cloverleaf, I would knock doors and be like, hey, I don't know if you know Susan. We just helped her with the ants. I'm here. I can get you taken care of, give you the discount, whatever. And then if you get in their community Facebook group or even the moms or whatever group of the area, maybe it's not even the subdivision or the housing area, but maybe it's the town or whatever Facebook group you can get in, be like, hey, create a video. I was just, I was in whatever town. I was in San Antonio and we were helping somebody with ants. And this is what we noticed. She was getting them in her kitchen. They were lining up on the windowsill and kind of trailing down to the sink. And this is what I discovered is she was doing X, Y, Z. And so what we did is, we put some bait in there and we did this. If you need any help with this, give me a call or whatever. Or you can even leave that part out and just reach out to the admins of the group and be like, hey, I'm not trying to break any rules. I just noticed that people have had some problems with this. Is this information okay? And a lot of times they're going to allow it. It's good information for people that it applies to. You have a specific name or at least a specific area and a specific pest, and you're going to build that value. So I would spend so much time hustling on social media. Paul talked about that, creating content and do as many of those things and put yourself out there and learn kind of this digital marketing world on your own. It'll also benefit you for once you get to the point where you're going to hire a company, because then you understand it. You should understand some of the metrics and where you should be putting your money, what the ROI should be. We've been going on for about 50 minutes. So much great information has been shared and there's so much to think about. So for the listener, you don't necessarily have to do exactly what we say, but think about how it applies to your situation and maybe some holes or some things that you can be doing differently or better. But why don't we start with Bill? Let's get some closing thoughts. What are some things that this gentleman or woman, I actually don't remember who asked the question, what are some things that we haven't covered, some advice that you would give them starting with $5,000, give it to me. It can be anything and everything. What's something that you want to make sure that they don't miss by listening to this episode?
So other than listening to this, talk to everybody you know. Everyone has something to offer. It's just that simple. Always remember, everybody has something to offer. It may be something you're able to put in your playbook. Okay. If it is, lastly, you have to make a plan. If you don't sit down and take time to write out a formal plan you may not achieve every goal at a specific time, but you have to create a plan and adjust that plan as you're going along.
Love it.
So right along with what Bill said, I think having a foundational plan that you have mapped that has your goals, the actions you're going to hold yourself accountable to achieve those goals, and then religiously holding yourself accountable to those things. And then establishing guiding principles. What are the non-negotiables for me? What are the things that when, there's a family event, you posted a couple weeks ago what real freedom is and being at your kid's soccer game. And to me, that's what it's all about. Like, that's the whole reason that I wanted to start. And so if you have those guiding principles, there may be somebody who calls and says, I have a bed bug service, I need you here at midnight, but there may be something else that's more important. And so if you can really establish those, I think that's absolutely critical, because we'll start to play with the gray a little too much. And just document everything. Like, recognize you know nothing and just be curious, but document everything so that when it does come time to hire that next person, you're not having to go backwards and reteach and relearn everything alongside them, because you want to be moving forward constantly. So I would just say accountability, documentation, and just non-negotiables.
Love that.
Yeah.
Paul.
To tag on to what Kyle just said, since you go into a kid's soccer game, take your truck, wear your company
I
shirt.
like that.
All right. Press releases. They don't cost anything. For the age now that we're not really into newspapers anymore. I'm old, like I said. Some of the smaller communities probably still have a community newspaper. Chamber of Commerce events. All this stuff is free. You can go do ours has a business card exchange like twice a month. And you just go in, answer questions, just go talk to people. Get your name out there. These are all free. Press releases were huge for us back in the day. Every time something happened, we're throwing out a press release, and it's getting traction. And then next thing you know, we're having somebody has a question, because we have right now we're dealing with the I don't even remember what it is now, an invasive species of some sort of insect that eats leaves, and we become that industry expert. So the press comes to us, and then all of a sudden now we're doing a news story. Free press. Become the industry expert for your press people. Give them ideas to run a story. On a slow news day, they're struggling to find something to do a story about. Well, do a story about, bed bugs back in the day. We were the first company in New York State to use bed bug detection dogs. Nobody knew us. We ended up throwing it out there, and we got a bunch of different press over it, and it's free.
I love it. And you mentioned, with the press releases, people aren't, not everybody subscribes to the newspaper or whatever, but there's so much where you can cross over between print and digital, where it's like, I think it would be a great, post on social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, talking about the press release in the local newspaper. Tag the local newspaper. A lot of them have social media pages. Tag them. Be like, hey, my up and coming company was just mentioned in the newspaper. They celebrated what we've been able to accomplish. Blah 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 blah, and use that online. I think is a great idea.
One of the videos I just posted, like last year, I was in a basement. I found mud tubes. I just shot a short little video about the mud tubes and what they are and all that stuff. It's still circulating now. It pops up on Facebook every once in a while. And, I'm fortunate enough that I'm able to, I have my son is a professional video editor. So I'm able to send it to him so he can clean it up, and all that. But because Lord knows I can't do it, but it's just use the source of your family and your friends. Ask your friends for business.
Absolutely. We didn't mention
Sometimes
that.
they won't give you business, and I've run into that. They're like, wait a minute, you invite me over for barbecue, but you don't want me doing your pest control. Well, we don't want to mix up business and pleasure. All right, fair enough. But those are the people that are going to support you in the long run.
Yeah.
You know, the local pest control companies, the local small business, they're the ones that are eating in the local restaurants, not the big corporations. That kind of stuff.
And here's the thing is that you think when you start a business, you make a bunch of invalid assumptions. One of those assumptions is you think everybody knows in your circle that you started a business. I just wrote a book. I've been talking about my book for a year. I didn't just write it. It's being published August 5th. But I tell people about it all the time. And you would not believe how many people are still shocked when they're like, hey, Allan, you wrote a book? It's like, I've been telling people about it for a year.
I heard about it.
Exactly. And the reason why is because especially with social media and online marketing, there's algorithms and all these things that come into play. Make sure people at a minimum know. Even if you're, grandpa's house, uncle's house, cousin's house, whatever, and they're like, you know what? No, I think we're good for now. Perfect. Well, now you know. And by the way, do you know anybody that might, that could benefit from our services? And even if you don't right now, keep me in mind. But you have to tell people. Not everybody knows. I think there's some stat out there that people don't absorb or believe what you say until you say it 7 times. So you have to say it over and over. I own a pest control company. Like I'm actually doing pest control business. And I take care of homes just like yours. So repeat it over and over and over. Let's finish up with, I actually have one more question I think is super important. And I want to make sure that the listener gets all the way to the end. Got to get them all the way to the end because I want to hear your answers on this. Somebody that is starting a pest control company with $5,000. No, I have a yes or no question and then a follow-up question. The yes or no question, should they seek outside money? And number 2, what if the answer is yes, who or what institutions should they seek it from?
I'll go first. I'll say yes if you can get like small business loans and things like that from the Fed.
I like it.
I'd say no.
No from Kyle. Bill?
Yeah, it's a no from me. I think if you're starting off by yourself, don't start a business with debt.
Love it. My answer is probably going to be no, especially at this stage. You grow it, you show what you're able to do. You're going to get a lot better offer. You're going to have a lot more options. I don't have a problem with using leverage to grow a company, but I think you're probably too soon to do that. I think it's too risky to start with a silent partner. You're not going to get a valuation from them that's decent. So I would definitely hold off. All right, gents. Well, I appreciate it. We're an hour into this. Tons more we could talk about. Maybe we're going to do a version 2 or a second episode to this. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you guys and what you're doing for the pest control industry. There's a reason why you guys are in here. We come from diverse backgrounds and diverse experience. And you guys, I think you knocked it out of the park. For the listener, make sure that you employ some of this stuff. It's not just about your drive to lunch or your drive home or sitting in the office trying to kill time. Do something about what you heard today. Specifically, if you made a connection between your situation and something you heard today, make sure that you act on it. Special thanks to Paul, Kyle, Bill. You guys are awesome. And to the listener, we'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to the Bug Bucks podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please show your support by subscribing and leaving us an honest 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.